Hi, vinyl community. We're back with our second video. As I said before, we've had a lot of vinyl soundtracks to go through, so of course it's going to be a lot of volumes to these. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the sci-fi and fantasy film soundtracks. First one being Heavy Metal, the score by Elmer Bernstein. Yeah, could have went to the other way and shown the heavy metal soundtrack that everyone usually has, the one with all Foghat and Black Sabbath or whatever. But this one here, I love it. This is an essential score. This is wonderful. If you've seen the movie, you remember the music that was in there besides the heavy metal. The score is just one of those items that, yeah, you really need it. If you're a fan of the heavy metal movie, definitely need to get that one. Next up, Invaders from Mars. Musical score by David Storrs. Fantastic. This is a sci-fi soundtrack. This is the way they should be done. I mean, this is really one of a kind. You should definitely check this one out if you have the means. Okay, next up, Aliens. Music by the late James Horner. Fantastic. Also, this is a soundtrack that I got when it first came out. I believe I had it on cassette back then, though. But again, released through Varese Sarabande, and just an amazing piece of work. And you've actually, in commercials, you actually hear a lot of the music from this movie sampled in trailers for different things. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. Very good. Next up, Starman. Beautiful movie, beautiful soundtrack. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. This is really one of a kind. Very haunting, very melodic. Yeah, definitely. John Carpenter, can't go wrong. Next up, of course, is the 2001 Space Odyssey. Really one of the starts of the science fiction soundtracks. Of course, they use a number of classical music in all of their songs. This one got a little splinted on the top, but anyways, fantastic album. And of course, the gatefold has a little bit of the movie and the music, and yeah, not too bad. Of course, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, music by John Williams. This is one of those soundtracks. If you're a soundtrack lover, you've had this at one point or another, whether it was on vinyl or 8-track, cassette, whatever. It's a fantastic album. One of those iconic. And everybody knows the theme. Everybody knows the Close Encounters of the Third Kind theme. This was a little gem we picked up last year. I've heard of this. But, to be honest with you, it's really, really cool. So anyways, what this is, the official dramatized recordings of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which has a lot of dialogue from the movie, and, yeah, really, really cool gatefold. And then on the back. And, of course, this one comes with a booklet. I believe it's in here. Comes with a Close Encounters of the Third Kind booklet. Really awesome. Next up, Star Trek music by Jerry Goldsmith. Even if you're not a Star Trek fan, this is actually really good. And of course, like I've said before, everything Jerry Goldsmith touches just comes out amazing, and this is definitely no exception. Wonderful music, fantastic stuff. You should definitely get this one if you don't have it already. The Black Hole, Disney's The Black Hole, music by John Barry. Another one of those albums and movie that I grew up on watching, and fantastic score. Definitely worth a shot. Mad Max 2, also known as The Road Warrior in the United States. Music by Brian May. Actually, it's a really fantastic album. Very, very crazy score on it. You would have never thought that, Brian May, of course, he's such a talented musician and a brilliant composer as well. He's done many, many films, but this is a great one to have. Of course, Mel Gibson in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, another good vinyl soundtrack. All the scores, got 2 songs by Tina Turner, but the music itself, I mean, yeah, it says Maurice Jarre, or I always mispronounce this one, I don't know if it's Maurice Jarre, but really, really cool album. He is a wonderful composer. Of course, he also did the music to The Year of Living Dangerously, which is one of my most favorite musical scores ever. And this is another one I picked up to go along with the Mad Max films. This is the One of the Living by Tina Turner, a little radio promo single that I had. Couldn't pass that up. Here we go again, Jerry Goldsmith with Inner Space. It's another promotional copy that we picked up. Fantastic. Of course, you know the movie is just so hectic and fast-paced, and the music matches this as well. Wonderful stuff. Next up, The Explorers. Again, music by Jerry Goldsmith. And this is a fantastic piece of work right here. The music in here does not get any better. He just seems to top himself with every movie. And he's so chameleon in that, you know, whatever he's doing, sci-fi, horror, you know, he watches these movies and he's able to put the feel of the movie in through his music, and he does it like no other. There's additional songs on here by Night Ranger, of course, Robert Plant, Red 7. Oh. Next up, Sword and the Sorcerer, music composed by David Whittaker. This movie, very low budget. It's one of them early 80 B movies, but it's entertaining, very entertaining. This is still sealed. I have not opened this yet. I've been wanting to open this for so long. I'm familiar with the music that is in here. So yeah, it's just killing me. I just haven't not got around to it, and I'm just, you know how it is with sealed stuff. You know, you want to open it, but you don't. You want to preserve it. I'm just gonna have to give in and just give this one a shot. Next up, Lady Hawk. Not really a whole lot to say about this album. It's not bad. It is your basic musical score. I mean, nothing too thrilling. But I really liked the movie back then, and, you know, couldn't go wrong. I figured to get the soundtrack, might as well. Twilight Zone, the movie. Again, music by Jerry Goldsmith. There is one song here by Jennifer Warnes. This was one of the most profound soundtracks that's made an impact on my life. And I was, as far as when I was a kid when this movie came out, I remember taping it when it came on HBO. I had my tape recorder and I taped the music off from the television during this movie because I love the music so much. I've got 2 copies of this. This one's a sealed copy, but absolutely amazing. This is sort of one of those underrated musical scores, but yet you hear a lot of elements, especially Nightmare on 20,000 Feet. You'll hear it. It's very reminiscent of the Gremlins music that he also did in 1985. Really good, or 84. I'm sorry. E.T. by John Williams. This is another one of those iconic musical scores. Everything that John Williams seems to do with Spielberg movies, the soundtracks become just so incredibly memorable. Wonderful album. Mac and Me, which it was an E.T. ripoff. Let's just get that out of the way. It's a really cute movie. No matter how cheesy it is, you sort of remember it. And of course, it's got a lot of mix of like pop, rock, and R&B. There's Ashford and Simpson on here. And actually, the overture from Mac and Me actually is done by Alan Silvestri, who is famous for his musical scores for Back to the Future and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Actually, this is a kind of an interesting. You'd be surprised that this thing is not cheap. So, and it's nice to have. Also a promotional copy. Witches of Eastwick, music by John Williams. Not too bad. It's not one of his best scores. But still interesting. Wonderful movie. Clash of the Titans. This music's done by Lawrence Rosenthal with the London Symphony Orchestra. Pretty good album. It's a little bit different than some of the other Ray Harryhausen films. But it's still epic nonetheless. This is a fantastic album. If you ever come across it, definitely get it. Of course, what would any fantasy collection be without Labyrinth? I really don't have a whole lot to say about Labyrinth, but that hasn't already been said. Fantastic Bowie songs. This is really sort of the essential. Even if you're a Bowie fan or a fantasy film fan, you're at one time or another going to have this Labyrinth soundtrack. That's all there is to it. Fantastic stuff. And then last but not least, Trevor Jones composing music for The Dark Crystal. And I was actually shocked to find out how sought after this album was. And I actually got this from a friend of mine up in the East Coast. He sent it to me for Christmas or my birthday, I believe. And I've had this for a few years now, and it's got a little bit of sticker residue over here, but the music is in vinyl album. It's in amazing shape, and it still has the poster. Comes with a little, oh, there's a letter that he sent me with that. So yeah, it does come with the poster, some liner notes. Really, really, really cool stuff. So yeah, I was very fortunate to get this as a gift. Anyway, so that about wraps it up for our sci-fi and fantasy film vinyl soundtracks. We'll be back next time featuring sex romp companies of the early 80s. So again, thank you for watching our video. Subscribe if you can, and check out our art at twoheartsart.com. Thanks a lot.